When the Soviet Union triumphantly announced the launch of Sputnik in 1957, they told the world it had happened at a place called Baikonur. But if you had looked at a map of the USSR at the time, you would have found that Baikonur was a small mining town hundreds of miles away from the actual launch site. This was one of the most successful and elaborate pieces of cartographic deception in history. This is the story of the city that didn't exist, the real Baikonur Cosmodrome. The real launch site was a place called Tyuratam, a remote railway junction in the desert of Kazakhstan. The Soviets chose it because it was far from populated areas and had the perfect terrain for long-range missiles. But they didn't want the Americans to know where it was, so they gave it a fake name. They even built a fake wooden launch pad near the real town of Baikonur to fool American spy planes. The deception worked for years. Even after American U-2 spy planes finally located the real launch site, the Soviets continued to call it Baikonur in all their official reports. It was a masterful game of smoke and mirrors, designed to keep the West guessing about the true scale and location of the Soviet space program. The city that grew up around the launch site, eventually named Leninsk, was a classic Soviet secret city. It was surrounded by barbed wire and elite guards. Every resident had a top-secret clearance. Every movement was monitored. If you lived in Leninsk, you were part of the most elite and most secretive community in the Soviet Union. Life in Leninsk was a bizarre mix of high-tech marvels and frontier isolation. On one hand, you were at the epicenter of the space age, witnessing the launches of Sputnik, Yuri Gagarin, and the Salyut space stations. On the other hand, you were living in a desert where the temperature could swing from 40 below in the winter to 50 above in the summer. The city was built with one purpose: to support the space program. There were specialized factories, research institutes, and training centers for cosmonauts. There were also elite schools, hospitals, and stores for the residents. It was a white archipelago in the middle of the desert, a world of privilege and purpose. But the secrecy came at a price. The people of Leninsk were cut off from the rest of the world. They couldn't tell their families where they were or what they were doing. They were living in a bubble of state-sponsored secrecy, their very existence a matter of national security. When the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, the future of Baikonur was suddenly in doubt. The launch site was now in the independent country of Kazakhstan, while the space program was run by Russia. After years of negotiation, the two countries reached an agreement. Russia would lease the Cosmodrome from Kazakhstan for $115 million a year. Today, the city is officially named Baikonur, and it's still a unique and fascinating place. It's a Russian enclave in the middle of Kazakhstan, a city that lives and breathes the history of space exploration. The barbed wire is still there, and you still need a special permit to enter. It remains a place where the secrets of the past and the ambitions of the future are inextricably linked. But what was it like to actually live in one of these secret cities? To be part of the White Archipelago? In our next video, we're going behind the wire to see the daily life of the Soviet nuclear elite. The privilege, the paranoia, when the price of secrecy